So I'd like each of the panelists to introduce themselves.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Chris Herbert from TrackR. I'm a loser. I lose things all the time, keys, wallets, everything I touch. And so I created a small tracking device that you can attach to anything you own. And then it shows you where on a map it is. And then we're really happy to announce that we're taking this into the home to keep track of everything. Give the task of trying to remember where items are located to computers. So you have perfect memory.
Hi, I'm Betsy, Fore, founder and CEO of WonderMinto. We're the creators of WonderWoof. It's similar to a Fitbit for dogs where it's an activity monitor, but we actually tell you what your dog's doing in real time, no matter where you are in the world. You can always look on your WonderWoof app and stay emotionally connected to them. I invented it for my fur baby originally. He was overweight, and then since using the bow tie, he's now hit his goal weight, which can extend his life up to 2 years. This is really where the idea was born.
Very cool. Hi, I'm Don Inmon. I'm co-founder and president of PyLab, and I make a duck that connects not only with a tablet or phone, but also connects to your child and engages them in fun and learning-based content that we create in-house. Yet it's very familiar because it's a legacy product that everybody thinks they've owned. And we'll talk more about it in a bit.
Hi there, my name is Crady Weiss, and I am the founder of a company called Hatch Baby. We are creating, our first product is called the Smart Changing Pad, and what it is we took the traditional diaper changing pad, the piece of foam that takes up a bunch of room in your nursery and you use to change your baby's diaper, and we gave it a modern makeover. So what we did is we built a Wi-Fi connected scale into it so that you can answer one of the fundamental concerns when you have a new baby. I know from Baby Center, I sold my last company to a company called Baby Center, which is owned by J&J. Baby Center reaches 80% of new and expectant moms in the US, so I know a ton about what new parents are concerned about. And one of the things that's really, really stressful when you bring a baby home from the hospital is my kid drinking enough? I really want to breastfeed, but I can't feel what's coming out, and is this kid getting enough? And the second thing that's really stressful that our product addresses is my kid gaining weight? Babies lose weight in the first weeks. Is this kid thriving? Is this kid getting up? And it is super, super stressful, and it leads to people not meeting breastfeeding goals, and it leads to unnecessary anxiety and stress. And so that's our first product, and we'll tell you a little bit more about our app and our future products. But that's us to begin with.
Great. So as you can see, all of our panelists are really talking about something that can help the entire family stay happy, productive, but especially help parents. Whether you're keeping track of a child's toy, you're keeping track of your fur child, what your child is learning, or how your child is developing, technology is here and developing to help you in that goal. And as a parent, someone who always used technology a lot before, and now that I have a 3-year-old, it's really interesting to see the things that are there to help me, but also the things I kind of wish I could hack and solve. Like I'm still waiting for someone to come out with a Bluetooth diaper. Please work on it. But something like being able to track my kid's toys, huge help when it's midnight and he wakes up screaming for his favorite toy and I can't find it. So I want to ask each of the panelists to kind of talk about how their technology really helps empower parents.
Well, I think, I still remember when I had this favorite little rocket and I launched it and I lost it. And I still remember that to this day. And every kid has their favorite toy. And it's usually one person in the family is the item master. It's the person that they go to. It's where's my wallet? Where's my favorite toy? Where's all the items in the house? And we see that taking that database of items that person is managing and keeping track of and giving that task of managing where items are located to a computer, to their phone, so that they can just ask Siri, where are my keys? And they can get in the bedroom, in the living room, and get the exact location. So we're giving the family effortless organization.
And that's really key because you don't want to have to make up stories like I did. Like my son's favorite toy was missing for like a week. We couldn't find it. We told him it was on an adventure. Now every time something's missing, we try to tell him that. He's like, I go like, oh, my glasses are missing. He's like, are they on an adventure? Hopefully a short one.
So we really help pet parents by giving them insights into, based on your dog's size, breed, and age, how much exercise they actually need. Up until this point, when we entered the pet wearable market, and it's really a new market, there really hasn't been this kind of digging into the analytics. So what we've created is a doggy database of over 1,300 different dog breeds and mixes, based on your dog's size, breed, and age. How much exercise do they need? We break that down for you within the app and then give you incentives to try to meet those goals. So that's how my dog was able to lose weight. We really feel like those pet parent insights are absolutely crucial to the health and longevity of your dog's life and happier, longer life together.
Great. How does Edwin help parents?
Well, I think a number of ways. We try to create a platform where, as we get feedback, we can expand on the educational content that we've created and see how it's impactful. But today, we worked with parents, we worked with teachers and animators and illustrators that are all parents to help create the environment or world of Edwin the Duck. So we teach letters, numbers, colors, and shapes for 3-year-olds, and we do tackle bigger subjects later on this year for kids that are slightly older by Edwin participating in these situations and saying it's okay. Edwin dealt with it. You can do it as well. But we started with basic things like cleaning your room, brushing your teeth, putting your clothes away, to also enabling a parent, say they have a newborn. Edwin's also a thermometer. He can take a temperature of the water that he's floating in. He can also soothe the child when they go to bed, and we can turn on the Sleepy Time app and play lullabies. And we're just continuing to build on that world of Edwin the Duck with new software.
Yeah.
So I think I spoke a little bit in my intro about how we're helping parents. I talked about our device, and I'll talk a little bit now about our app. So today, and our app is free. Anyone can use our app. You can use the app is a lot more interesting with the device, with the smart changing pad, but you can use the app for free. So we know that a significant majority of millennial parents track. They want to know when their baby is born. They keep track of when that baby goes to sleep. They keep track of when that baby is nursing, when the baby is stop nursing. They keep track of diapers. And that's something that it's absolutely a behavior now. And if you think of it, the effort that parents are going through to do this, to write everything down, whether it's on a piece of paper or largely today on apps, that's significant effort. We didn't ever, before Fitbit, write down the number of steps that we took. We just, we didn't care that much, but now we really care because Fitbit's awesome and it's really fun to know and it's great to feel healthier. So for us, when we think about this manual tracking behavior that's going on with new babies, we want to create basically a way to passively track information that you and your pediatrician care about. And that's what we're doing with the first device that we're creating. And that's what we'll do with the series of devices that we will create. And we will also, by the way, partner with other startups and other industry companies when they have devices that we think our parents are really interested in that would make the app experience even richer. The idea is the app will collect data about all of the things that parents are manually tracking about today and that pediatricians are asking about today and lactation consultants are asking about today. It'll all be centrally kept in an app, and we think that's how we'll help parents. We'll help parents to understand what's really going on with their baby, to answer the ultimate question that every parent has, and that is my baby normal?
That was definitely a concern that we had when my son was born too, is how is he developing? Is he losing too much weight? Is he eating enough? Is he pooping enough? So I'm kind of curious, what do you all think the tools are that we don't have yet that parents need, besides of course the diaper tracker that beeps your phone when when it's time for a change?
Well, I'm seeing this really from an organization standpoint in time, and I think that's the big benefit that I'm in the end selling to our customers, and our customers are receiving is time. And I think that parents are extremely busy, and that if we can give them more time by not having to even search for things, and I think right now we're keeping track of a few critical items in the house. I think the future is keeping track of every item in the house, having a home have inventory management within it. And so that you know where everything is at all time, and then adding on to that, of course, critical tracking, like child tracking, like pet location tracking. I think those are critical points that are being developed right now, but need to be done in the right way, especially concerning people, because there's a lot of privacy.
What do you think? What do you think is missing from sort of pet tracking now? What sort of new information do we need about our pets to help them?
Right. So there's actually more dogs in the U.S. than there are children, and we've seen this massive epidemic arise where over half of them are overweight or obese. So I think it's educating the consumer that actually this does exist and having playful incentives of how to get them to exercise more or monitor the caloric intake for their dog. So when we send you an alert via the WonderWoof app, it's always from your fur baby. So it's them saying that time for another walk, mommy, I miss you, I love you, things like this, to stay really connected in that way. And then you're earning bones, and each bone is worth 10% of their daily activity. So we don't kind of overload you with all these charts and graphs, although you can dig in and see those metrics. But we did try to keep it really light, fun, and playful just to get that engagement. It's not just about this sort of guilt or fear-based idea of okay, I have to monitor, oh, I'm not with them enough. It's more about let's really engage to have more of those loving interactions, that playful time with your pet. And the future for WonderMinto, as I briefly mentioned to you, and we've actually soft launched here at CES, is Wonder Meow as well.
Yeah, one of my cats really needs that.
Right.
I also wish he had a connected bowl so we could just sort of cut it off when he's,
I think there's a couple connected bowls actually in Eureka Park here. Yeah, I'll have to let you know about those.
So what do you think is next for sort of connected educational toys? What would be the next level of duck?
You mean beyond this?
Yeah.
Well, I think, we're just getting started with what this is going to become, and I kind of touched on that earlier. What we're really trying to do is just give this environment where we are not only giving stories and stuff that we've written and education content we've written, but taking feedback and expanding on it. How are kids using it? And spending time with Edwin. A lot of times it's a teddy bear or a blanket, and I think Edwin kind of fits into that space as well, but we're trying to teach values and interactivity that is positive within the stories we write. Also, we've introduced hands-free use. Oh, we've got Edwin Cam right here. Hands-free use as well with, for example, an Apple Watch. So if I put Edwin again into a bathtub, I can read the temperature without even touching my phone, which is nice as well. But we're going to continue to expand on the technology and how Edwin physically has different accessories, bring in other characters, how they'll link together, and encourage interaction between different Edwin owners as well. There we go.
I'll have my duck call your duck.
Sure. Or we could go outside and play. We're going to introduce predictive computing as well.
So besides a scale, what are some of the other sort of vectors that you think we need to track that we're not tracking with our young children?
So my personal belief is that there's not necessarily more that we need to track. It's really about meeting parents' concerns, right? It's really about figuring out an individual parent and what their interest is, right? Are they a parent who wants to know specifics, or are they not? And the reality is, in today's world, you can choose to engage in a lot of amazing things, or you can choose to not. But what doesn't change is the fundamental issues of becoming a new parent. The fundamental issues and the fundamental concerns remain the same, right? I want to know, is this kid healthy? Is this kid normal? And I want to know when I'm going to get my life back as a parent and when I'm going to be able to sleep. And those are really the things when we think about our next innovation and when we think about what we're doing next that are really important to us. So that's where we'll focus, on addressing those fundamental concerns. And the tracking, there's no question that is the behavior, that is what parents have indicated they want to do, but that absolutely, we will continue to create products and partnerships that address those fundamental, most basic concerns about, is my kid normal?
Speaking of concerns, are there any things we should be concerned about in terms of going too far with connected parenting? Where do we kind of draw the line? I mean, for example, Don, is there a point at which where we need to be concerned how much time our child is spending with an interactive toy?
Sure. I think a lot of people, obviously we all know parents have concerns about how much screen time is a child getting. But I think within the Edwin app, we're telling people, you can take Edwin away from this and go outside and play. Hey, ask mom, because Edwin will know if it's sunny outside. Maybe ask mom if we can go out and play or do something like that. And maybe Edwin doesn't have to come along the whole time. But I think encouraging time away from that environment too. My kids, like many, are Xbox and other video games, just obsessed. But this, even at 9 years old, has kind of pulled them away from that stuff and gotten them into reading again. And I think, to answer your question, I don't think it's always about being with Edwin, but maybe taking some of the stuff you learned there, or mom and dad downloaded for you about an Edwin story that got them positive about something they were negative about before, and they step away from a tablet and do something away.
Are there any concerns about privacy issues when you're tracking so many objects?
There's a lot of concerns, I think, in terms of making sure that you're not being tracked all throughout the world and you're not leaving breadcrumbs of where your items have been. So I think that what we've done thus far is have eliminated the history of items. But I'm more concerned we have a lot of requests every day for child tracking. Can I use TrackR to track my kids? Our response right now is no. We don't support it because I think it's a 99.99% reliability test, right? Like flying an airplane, it has to work every time. But with that privacy concern, I think parents also need to be concerned about the children's own privacy rights as well, and teenager privacy rights too. Because do they actually want to be tracked, and how much of that choice do they have, and how do you track? Is it a check-in, or is it all the time tracking? I think those are things that need to be thought out for not just I'm tracking, but child tracking as well.
I'll tell you a little story about that really, really short. As a product reviewer, I get sent a lot of things to test. And a few years ago, someone sent me a child tracking app for Android. But the way this app worked was your child doesn't know that it's there, and it sends copies of all the text messages to the parent as emails, and then like list of all the phone calls or whatever. And I gave it a very negative review. I said, I really don't think you should have like stealth technology. If you're going to monitor your child, you should tell them, listen, I'm monitoring you. Besides, once they figure out that it doesn't monitor instant Facebook Messenger, they're just going to use that instead. And so like that's something I think is definitely a concern is when you have issues with communication where the parent is relying on technology as a crutch, like, oh, I'm going to use this technology so I don't have to be a parent. And that really depresses me. I kind of feel like the dad in that like Cats in the Cradle song every time I'm handing my son his tablet, like, oh, I'm not. Are there anything you think we should be concerned about in terms of tracking your child's your baby too much?
So I think it comes down to transparency, right? Like it's about, as a business person and as a parent, like I certainly share concerns about privacy in general. It's certainly an issue in our modern world, but at the same time, we've seen consumers who are willing to share information as long as they get interesting insights back. And as long as that information is not revealing, their personal and private. And I think as a business person, you have an obligation to be transparent. You also have an obligation to put yourself in someone else's shoes and to have real empathy about, if this were me, would this feel right? And does it pass the smell test? For us, for us, it's not a significant concern, and that we're not collecting data. We are collecting data when you choose to give it to us, when you choose to take a weight, when you choose to track a diaper, when you choose to register a feeding. And in your app, that app is yours. That app is yours, and that information is yours. We do look at aggregate information to try to help other parents. Like we will look today, WHO stats that help track babies and tell you, whether your child is healthy and on the right growth curve. They're based on about 8,000 babies in 6 countries worldwide. There's no information about if I am, and if I'm an Asian American and my partner is Asian American. Oftentimes, those babies will be in very low percentiles. But the reality is, if you compare those babies to like babies, they absolutely would not be in low percentiles. So for us, parents have shown that they are willing to share information and happy to have us aggregate it and give it back, of course, in an anonymized form, as long as there's compelling information. If you can tell me, hey, compared to babies who have parents of your ethnicity, of your background, your baby is in the X percentile, according to WHO, you're in the Y percentile, that's interesting information to me, and I'd like to have that, and I think that would give me peace of mind. And I think our users have said the same thing.
Should you be concerned about your dog's privacy?
So,
I don't want my cats to
Yeah.
get stalkers or obsessed fans.
so we actually don't have the same level of privacy issues as you would maybe with a child, but we take privacy very seriously at WonderWoof. So one of the elements of our social network, which we have on the app that we launched 2 years prior to the hardware to build up that canine community, is that you can go and meet new doggy friends and schedule play dates. So what we do whenever you enter the app is we ask, private walk, which is the normal setting. Do you want to share with just your friends to see where you are, right? And all those different analytics of which walks you've been on, which badges you've earned, and so forth, which new friends you made, or share with everyone to make new friends. So we always ask you that every single time you enter into a walk or activity with your dog to keep everything really, really private. Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Is tech security a concern? Because even if you're doing what you can to make sure that you don't violate someone's privacy, if you're collecting data and you're trying to keep it anonymous, what do you all do to try and make sure that the information stays safe from hackers and other types of malefactors?
I think that we currently take on some basic REST APIs, and we built in security when we built our system, and we are using Google Cloud Platform that has the baseline server technology developed, and then we're on the application layer, so you get a good line of defense, and that other large companies are using, like Snapchat, and then Gmail's run on it as well. So that we have a baseline security there, but I think it's very important to, from a startup perspective, implement some basic REST APIs, some basic security, some basic kill codes to block off attacks and keep the data private.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I mean, we use REST API, and then we're also asking every single time you enter the app as well, can we collect your doggy data to try to measure against similar breeds to see how you add up. So we ask permission each time too, going in with the consumer.
We're fully COPA compliant, so we're not really collecting data. So we don't deal with the issue, but.
Yeah. You know what kind of raised my concerns? I think it was last year, a few months ago, somebody announced a Barbie that records you remember that?
Yeah.
Sure. Perhaps the Barbie that records your children's conversations
Right.
and sends them to the manufacturer, who claims that, we're just listening to this for your kids' conversations for, to make the product better, and we don't know which kid it is, but that would concern me. I want to open up, we have a few minutes left, I want to open up for any questions from the audience.
Sure. I'll start. So I think you hit on a really important audience for any startup, which are influencers. In today's world, there are a ton of people out there who express their opinions and who have followings, and in some cases, quite big followings. So for us, it's been really important to try to create relationships with those folks, and we are just launching. We actually just did a pre-sale beginning about a month ago, and are now, as of yesterday, in live sales. Yay! So social influencers are really, really, really important. Facebook also is an amazing platform. Google is as well, but Facebook in particular to really target a particular segment and to test and to take the theory that I have as an entrepreneur and this product that I would have really loved to have when I had my children. But to see whether there actually is support. The other way to get validation, and not so much word about, is to go and seek venture capital financing. If that's something, if VCs, who are generally pretty smart folks about what will resonate and what will not, say, yeah, interesting, it's another way to get validation. But I would say if you're an early stage startup, Facebook is a great way to get the word out in a very targeted way, as is Google, and as is talking to social influencers. And by the way, all of this Pinterest, and there are many new ways and ad platforms coming out now that are interesting. They're smaller, but there's a lot of interesting stuff.
Wow, this is 2 years for us from napkin sketch to actual delivery product. We started shipping about 4 weeks ago. We had a very specific channel we wanted to ship into. We wanted to ship into Apple stores and Best Buy locations. And typically a toy doesn't necessarily launch in those places, but it's sort of the convergence of technology and a traditional toy. And to get that word out, we sought, like you said, validation from private investors and a lot of VCs, and we did a lot of one-minute pitches, which I didn't know anything about 2 years ago. And we went to where I don't think even I thought the tech community would exist, and that was in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we actually were able to raise money, and people kept asking, why a duck? Like they thought we were nuts. And then we started to explain it, and they go, okay, so it's really Internet of Things behind the scene. And when you say that, people want to talk about it. And we pushed it into Facebook and into Twitter and really targeted it. And we've really been blessed. The product is now in Best Buy, and it's going to every Apple store in the world over the next 2 weeks. So
Fantastic.
it's good.
I want to take another questions if we have any.
I can answer that for us. So our product today is a product that's in the home. It's a diaper changing pad, and you certainly could take it out and about, but it's primarily used in the home. What we do when you're out of the home is we take, for example, your nursing amount. If you in the home are generally feeding, what we do is we take a rolling average, and we will, when you nurse outside of the home and you use the app, we will suggest to you, hey, based on similar times, this is what you've nursed in the past. Would you like to record this? So we basically find a way to make the use of the product continue outside the home, but others may have.
Well, my idea and I think we're going to see a lot more of this in other products, is that our trackers, after they're missing outside the home, they use something we call crowd GPS. So when another phone comes nearby, their phone detects it, and we use the existing cell phone signal to send a message up to the cloud. And I think this makes sense for a lot of products in the future. If you think about just this room, we have over 100 wireless connections and tons of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. I mean, if Wi-Fi ends up being dangerous, this is the Armageddon as we know it. But I think that kind of design pattern in crowdsourcing the existing connections is a way to a better future, because I don't think the products just can't take that kind of level of power consumption. And more SIM cards is awesome for carriers, but I think they're doing okay.
So for dogs rolling out in the next 2 years, they're actually the microchips that are embedded, on the dog's neck, rolling out GPS embedded in those that will last up to 9 years. So for all the massive GPS pet wearables you may have seen, this is, not very good. But for us, that was a very strategic decision we made, that we're launching with the activity monitor first. And then we leverage all of the canine community, which we built over the past 2 years. That was a very important decision I made early on. We're launching the app first, prior to the hardware, and I highly recommend for getting the word out there as well, because when you leverage that canine community, the other owners can help rescue WonderWoof dogs, right? So, and that's massive. We're really relying on the social component for that.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank all of our panelists and our audience here. We are out of time, but thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I hope we can all stay connected.
Thank you.
Thank you.